Four horsemen, rivers of lava, a multi-headed dragon straight out of a heavy metal album cover. Sounds like Hollywood's dream weekend, right? That's the image we all have. We hear apocalypse, and we think of cataclysm, disaster, the end of everything. But what if I told you that our entire modern understanding is built on a simple mistranslation? Crack open the book of Revelation, the supposed blueprint for all this doom, and the very first sentence calls the whole thing the revelation, apocalypsis, of Jesus Christ. In the original Greek, that word apocalypsis doesn't mean catastrophe or end of the world. It simply means an unveiling or a disclosure. It's a pulling back of the curtain. So maybe the book isn't designed to keep you up at night with visions of nuclear war. Maybe it was written to unveil something, or someone, important. Maybe it's meant to show you who's still standing when everything feels like it's falling to pieces. Let's clear the air. Say, apocalypse. And most modern brains jump to mushroom clouds and survival bunkers. But put yourself in the sandals of a first-century Christian. You're living under the boot of the Roman Empire, a global superpower that demands total allegiance. You're being socially ostracized, economically squeezed, and sometimes publicly executed for refusing to worship the emperor as a god. Your question isn't, when does the planet explode? It's a far more desperate cry. Does God even see our struggle? Does he care that our churches are being torched and our leaders are being killed? Revelation answers with a thunderous, world-shaking yes. The book isn't a chronological timeline of future disasters. It's structured like a heavenly courtroom drama. The opening of the scrolls, the sounding of the trumpets, the pouring out of the bowls, those aren't a survivalist's checklist for the end of the world. They are cycles of divine judgment, repeating and intensifying. The scary, violent imagery isn't primarily aimed at believers. It's aimed at the bullies holding the whip. It's a declaration that the arrogant, oppressive systems of the world, the ones that persecute the faithful, will ultimately face justice. So why is the book so weird? 7 heads, 10 horns, a dragon rocking a crown, a prostitute riding a beast. Either the author, John, was having a very strange trip, or he was using the language of political cartoons. And that's exactly it. In an empire where speaking treason gets you killed, you don't write an essay titled, "Why Rome is Evil." You use symbols. Symbols that smuggle courage past the censors. This imagery wasn't confusing to the original audience. It was crystal clear. The 7 heads, the 10 horns, the crowns, these all symbolize power, authority, and military might. And when John describes a great beast rising from the sea, supported by 7 mountains, every reader in the first century would have instantly recognized the target: Rome, the city famously built on 7 hills. Coins minted in Rome often bragged about its eternal nature. So, when Revelation says the beast was, and is not, and is about to rise, it's ancient code for Rome looks immortal and invincible. But from heaven's perspective, its days are already numbered. It's a way of saying that the empire's power is temporary and illegitimate. The symbols don't bury the truth. They sharpen it, giving hope to the oppressed and a warning to the oppressor. Here's the twist that most people scroll past in their haste to get to the plagues and monsters. Revelation is a war story told in reverse. It starts with scenes of chaos on Earth, then keeps zooming out until you get to the real center of the action, the throne room of God, where the verdict on history has already been decided. The pivotal moment isn't in the final chapters. It's in chapter 5. John sees a scroll sealed with 7 seals that represents the course of human history. No one in heaven or on earth is worthy to open it. There's weeping, despair. History seems locked in a cycle of pain and injustice. Then an elder announces, "Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has conquered." But when John looks, he doesn't see a ferocious lion. He sees a lamb standing, yet looking as if it had been slaughtered. This is Jesus. And this is the central paradox of the whole book. Victory doesn't come through brute strength, the way Rome defined it, but through sacrificial love. The Lamb is worthy to unseal history precisely because he was slain. His death wasn't a defeat, it was the decisive victory. Every thunderous judgment that follows in the book is just the unfolding of a deal that is already done. Evil lost the war before the first horseman even left the gate. That's a nice theological point, you might say, but my rent is overdue, my mom is sick, and the news cycle is a constant dumpster fire. How does a slaughtered lamb in heaven help me right now? Revelation gets it. That's why, right after the terrifying vision of the 6 seals opening, Chapter 7 slams on the brakes. Before any more judgment unfolds, an angel shouts to halt everything until the servants of God are sealed on their foreheads. Then John sees a specific number, 144,000. Scholars widely agree this number is symbolic. It's 12, the number of God's people, the tribes of Israel, squared, multiplied by 1,000, a number for a great multitude. It's biblical shorthand for the entire, complete people of God. And just in case you missed the point, the scene immediately cuts to a crowd so vast that no one could count it, from every nation, tribe, and tongue already celebrating in heaven. The message is profound. Before the real trouble starts, God identifies and protects his people. This isn't about being teleported out of trouble. The sealing is for preservation through the trial. The book isn't selling a cheap escape from history. It's handing out divine stamina to endure it with the confidence that you are safe on the inside, even when it's chaos on the outside. So many popular ideas about the apocalypse end with a scorched, empty earth and believers whisked away to a cloudy heaven. But that's not how the book actually ends. Fast forward to the finale, in chapters 21 and 22. There is no rapture rocket abandoning a ruined planet. Instead, something far more radical happens. A great voice from the throne announces, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people. The holy city, the New Jerusalem, comes down from heaven to earth. God isn't evacuating humanity. He's moving into the neighborhood." And what's the first thing on God's agenda in this renewed creation? He will wipe every tear from their eyes. The grand finale isn't about fire and destruction. It's about divine grief counseling, free-flowing water of life for the thirsty, and trees whose leaves are for the healing of the nations. The curse that began in the Garden of Genesis is finally and fully reversed. Earth isn't trashed. It gets the ultimate upgrade. If your mental picture of the end times concludes in ashes, you simply closed the book too soon. So how do we live in light of this unveiling? Here are 3 practical ways to start. Read the headlines like "Revelation reads Rome" as temporary noise. The powers and principalities of our world, whether political, economic, or cultural, demand our attention and often our fear. Revelation teaches us to see them for what they are. Powerful, yes, but ultimately temporary and subject to a higher authority. When life feels beastly and chaotic, ask, where's the Lamb standing in this picture? This question reframes your perspective. It trains you to look not for overwhelming force, but for the power of sacrificial love and quiet resilience. You'll start to spot it tucked in the corners of your life, in the kindness of a stranger, in the forgiveness of a friend, in your own ability to endure. Practice apocalyptic imagination. The book ends with every tear being wiped away. So, live toward that reality now. Send the care package to a grieving friend. Drop the grudge you've been holding. These small acts of healing and creation are defiant statements of hope. Let's be honest, the world can feel terrifying. Anxiety is the beast's official soundtrack, broadcast 24/7 on every channel, designed to make you feel small, powerless, and afraid. Revelation acknowledges this reality, but offers a different playlist. It's filled with the sounds of massive crowds singing, harps playing, and a calm as clear as a glassy sea before the throne. That's why the book keeps repeating the phrase, "Let the one who has ears to hear, listen." It's presenting you with an opt-in audio experience. You can keep tuning in to Chaos FM, with its endless cycle of outrage and fear. Or you can tune your heart to the surround sound of the throne room. Switching stations doesn't deny the reality of your pain. It simply parks that pain inside a much larger story. A story that ends not with a bang or a whimper, but with every tear being wiped away. Your panic attack is real, but it isn't the finale. It's just the tense, quiet beat before the chorus drops. So next time fear knocks on your door, let revelation answer. Let it remind you, the throne room is calm, the Lamb is standing, and the last page still says, He will wipe every tear from their eyes.